Namo Buddhaya. In life, we have to deal with different kinds of people. So it is the nature of a person or a human is to make mistakes. Every living being make mistakes. That is the nature of this life. That is the nature of our mind. Because our mind is full of hatred and delusion and our craving. So when these defilements get filled inside our minds, it is the normal nature to make mistakes. So sometimes when we are working in a company, or when you are working in a company, if you are a leader, sometimes the people who work under your supervision may make mistakes. So most of the time, people use anger and they use resentment, hatred, and evil words to explain something about a mistake to a person. That is the normal human nature. Remember, when you use the words of anger, when you use the evil words, when you talk in anger, you cannot explain that certain thing to that certain person. Because no one likes to hear angry words from anyone. No one likes for another person to make them shy or embarrass them in front of others. But most of us embarrass people in front of others. Most of us talk the words of anger to explain the certain things when the people make mistakes. But our great teacher Supreme Buddha explained to us that if you need to accuse someone, if you need to explain about a mistake that has done by another person to that person, there's a way to do that. There's a correct way to do that. So when you explain that certain thing to that person about that mistake, you need to have 5 things in your speech. Supreme Buddha said, the first one is, the speak must be timely. You should speak in the correct time. So what is the correct time? Never speak to a person, never explain about a mistake to a person when he is in anger. Because when people become angry, they shut their ears. They don't like to hear about the things that others say. So you need to explain about a mistake to that certain person when he is cool. So if you need to complain to someone, if you need to explain something to someone, talk with him privately. Bring him to a private place, maybe your cabin, maybe to a private place, and talk with him about that. That is the first thing. It should be timely spoken. The second one, Supreme Buddha said that speak must be a real one. That means you need to explain about a mistake that really have done by him. Sometimes we may misunderstand about the situations, from the miscommunications, and we complain to wrong people, the people who hasn't done anything wrong. So when you speak like that, you damage to that person's trust, right? So you need to complain from a mistake that has really happened, from the truthfulness. That is the second point. And Supreme Buddha said, you need to speak gentle words. That is the third one. You need to speak the words of gentleness. So how to do that? First of all, if you need to complain to a person, first of all, you need to praise him. So suppose your colleague or a worker who works under you has done some mistake. So how to do that? First of all, you need to give a value to his occupation, the work that he is doing for you. So when you're doing that, his mind becomes happy and he opens his ears to listen to you. That is the first part. Then go for the complaint. Then explain that this mistake has happened from you. Ask, why did you do that? What was the problem? Right? What was the problem to do that? Then you can complain about that. And again give a value to his life. Say that, give a praise to him. say that you are doing well, but you have done something wrong, so you should not do this again and again. Then they will always listen to your explanations. So that is the thing. You have to speak gently, with kindness. And also Supreme Buddha said, you need to speak, you need to explain about that mistake with the goodwill, with the mind of explaining to that person and making his life better. You need to give that feeling to him. You need to give that feeling that he's trying to explain me something to make my life better. When he feels that, he always listens to you. So that is the fourth one. You need to look for the betterment of that person. And finally, Supreme Buddha said, you need to speak friendly words. You need to give that feeling of friendliness to that person. When you give that feeling to that person, he will reveal all the secrets inside him because he feels comfortable with you and he will always try to listen to your advice. So that is how we deal with the people who make mistakes. But never be angry in front of the people who has done something wrong, because we all make mistakes. We all are humans. We all are in the same nature. So what we have to do, forgive them, explain them about the mistake kindly, never hurt their feelings. And if you do this, you will find so many people around you who are praising you and who are loving you. Make your life better with kindness. Namo Buddhaya.